It's time for another thrilling episode of Elevate Your Life. Today's going to be a quick one. Today we are going to be talking about how to be 365% better than you were last year. So far in this podcast, we've gone over our internal environment. We've gone over our thoughts. We've hit why we should change, finding a big enough why. And now we're going to talk about how to start actualizing it, how to breaking it down even further into steps that you can actually do that will start making actual changes. So I'm going to start off this episode by asking you, if you go into a house and it's on fire, what is the first thing you do? You start with maybe the outside of the house and starting to water down the outside. And then, maybe you start watering down the kitchen. Or here's a better example. What if you buy a company and it's on the verge of bankruptcy? What is one of the first things that you're going to do? Which is essentially the business is on fire. So same thing, just a little bit different. The business is on fire. What do you do? Well, first off, you're going to cut off all the dead wood. You're going to get rid of all the rot. But the other thing you're going to do is you're going to start getting some wins on the board so that the people that are still there, the people that you need to run that company, want to be there. That you start getting some momentum going, right? Momentum. We need to get some momentum in our lives. We need to get some momentum going in our day-to-day struggles so that we can start seeing improvement. Because the more improvement you see, the more you will want to do, right? When you see, hey, this is working, I'm going to put forward more energy, more results, so that it goes even faster and faster. So the first thing we got to do is get some wins on the board as quickly as we can so we can start building momentum. Now, 1% equals 365% change by the end of the year. This little nugget that I'm giving you today is what totally, all these little things together created a massive change. The driving force besides the why for me personally that got me to start doing something that I could actually do. Because you're like, oh, I want to change my life. It feels overwhelming, right? If you're watching this stuff, it's not because your life is okay. You're watching it because you're in pain, you're in agony, you want change and you need it now. And at the same time, you're like, it's hard. It's hard to change. You have all these behaviors and patterns that are already in place that you're going to have to break. So how do you start breaking those patterns? How do you start actualizing change? How do you start seeing a difference? Why does it matter? Because the you right now can be 365% better than the you by the end of the year. It's a pretty massive difference. Let's compound that. What if you did it by 10? You want to be 3,600% better than you were right now from 10 years from now? Remember, I'm a science girl. I like the numbers. I like those odds. That sounds pretty darn good to me. Or at least it did when I started down this path. So, 1%. What does that mean? It means that you start doing one thing, just one thing per day that will make a difference in your life. It doesn't have to be anything massive or drastic. Let's just say, and we're going to get into this here soon coming up, but let's say you want to start working out and you want to start going to the gym. You've never been to the gym before. Or in my case, I have 4 varsity letters in cross country. Okay, if there's one of the verbs or one of the things that describe me is that I am a runner. I actually did a 5K in 20 minutes and 53 seconds. I even did a mile under 6 minutes. But I will tell you, those numbers seem like a long, long time ago. I still don't know how I did that. Although, then again, I was running thousands of miles a month at that point. Like literally, like I would run 10 to 15 miles a day. So it added it up pretty quickly. That all being said, we're going to start running towards a destination. And the reason why I bring this up and the reason why I'm sharing with you that I'm a runner is that when I was going through these medical challenges in the last year that I was struggling with, if I went to the gym and if I went for a 5-minute run, I would have a migraine headache for like the next 3 days. Okay, I had a lot of negative association with running after a lifetime of I was running since I was in kindergarten. I've been running for most of my life, which is really interesting because I was physically running then, and like now, like I'm not metaphorically, but like I'm running in a different, in the headspace. I'm running towards a business. So it's funny how a lot of these things translate from the running to here. And so I know how to run, right? Been pretty good at it. Got to tell you, after I only had to do it like once or twice. Once or twice I would go run for like 5 minutes, and you're in a significant amount of pain for days later. Like your body's like, no, we're not doing this. My body was like, we do not like this one bit. And so I had a lot of negative reinforcement. 1%, it was ridiculously humbling that I had to break down going to the gym into something that I would actually do. So if you can't, let's say you normally go to the gym and you're usually there for like a half hour and you're like, no way, Marie, not happening. How about 10 minutes? Can you go for 10 minutes? Can you go walk on the treadmill? Can you go lift weights for 10 minutes? And not proud of it, but let's just say that doesn't work. You're like, nope, can't do it. Not going to do 10 minutes. Can you go to the gym, stand there for a minute, take a look at all the equipment that is there, and then turn around and walk away? Can you break it down? So the goal is to get to the gym. You don't like going to the gym. You're not used to it. You got negative associations with it. Whatever the challenge is, you're having issues going to the gym. Can you break it down? And look, we're humans, okay? Sometimes you have to break it down so pathetically until you could actually take that first step. And after all the negative association I had with it there, especially with that association being recent, 4-time varsity runner, okay? I had to break it down to literally one day, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go down to the gym. I stood there for like a minute and I came back. And then the next day I was like, forget this. I am not this pathetic. I'm going to do better than this. And that ended up being like a 10 or 15-minute walk, which also, as I'm saying that, sounds ridiculous, but it's a lot better than going to the gym and turning around and walking away, okay? And like I said, I was dealing with some health. The health thing that I was dealing with, really knocked the wind out of me. I was really sick there for a minute. So honestly, after I got through everything, like I really felt like weak as a kitten. I really felt like I had to start from ground zero and rebuild myself up. And it's something that I'm still working on. I go to the gym about 45 minutes a day to an hour. Weights, elliptical, we're going to get into all of that. I actually re-educated, or should I say actually educated myself on fitness and like all the benefits and what to do and how to do it. I think that's going to be an ever-going evolution for me. Like, because I will tell you, like, I'm a runner, right? So weights are a whole new thing for me. Like the bodybuilding thing, like that took a minute because like I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing and I don't want to like hurt myself doing it. So it took a minute of like educating myself, and it's something I'm still learning to do. What is my point to all this story? Break down what it is that you want to do, and you break it down into actionable steps that you are actually going to take. Steps that you're actually going to take. And it might be horrifically humbling when you're first getting started. But here's the thing, there's hope. There's a lot of hope. Because if I can do this, if I can break it down to turning around and going back to 45 minutes to an hour of going to the gym, you can do this too. Build up steadily, build up slowly, but you got to break it down. And this is something else I want to teach you guys in this channel, is to zoom in and zoom out. See the big picture, get down to the details. This is a skill that will be essential in life. To see the complexity, to simplify it into actions. The complexity is we want to change our life. The complexity is we want to be healthy. The simplification, you got to go to the gym. How do you go to the gym? Can't do 10 minutes? Can you go for 5? Break it down into something that you will actually do. Now, God willing, you don't have to start as far down on the ladder as I did, because that, like I said, completely and utterly humbling in the extreme to be able to run under a 6-minute mile at one point, to be able to run under, I think I did like 20 minutes and 53 seconds is like my best personal time for a 5K. And that was at regionals. Like out of like 300 or 400 people, I was like in the teens. I think it was like 15 or 16 on that race. I didn't make it for state, but it was enough. It was enough to end on for that career anyway. My point being is if I had to humble myself that far, chances are you probably are too. Which is not a bad thing, because here's why. If you're going to build up to having a great, beautiful, wonderful life, you can't enjoy the light if you don't know the darkness. If you don't know how bad that it can be, you will always take for granted what you have. So if you have bad health, if you can imagine right now the health that you always wanted, would you ever take it for granted again? No. But if you had great health and you've always had great health, it's there. It's always there. You know, you take it for granted. You don't know any different. It's only when we face the darkness and we walk through it that we truly come out evolved, different. The darkness is intimidating. Going to the gym might be intimidating. One step. Now, that one step can also be in business. Like I'm trying to be, like another example, like I'm doing this entrepreneur journey, right? It's massive. It's huge. It's intimidating. You've got the fear of success, the fear of failure, the lack of confidence, because this is something I've never done before. I've always been told what to do. Now I'm calling the shots, and now I'm having to build everything from nothing. So like for me, like I had to break down like, okay, like I'm just going to watch like agency accelerator video, like 1 or 2 or 3. And then the next week, like I'm going to plan out these videos that I'm going to do. And okay, and then I'm going to get through all the videos, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to start building everything. Because I'd like to know where everything is before I actually start, like in case a client goes like, hey, I need a contract or something, or whatever it is that I need, like I want to know where in the system it is where I can watch that video so I can get the information again, because there's a lot of it. Breaking down things into actionable steps is ways that we can change our future. And I will also tell you something. When you start doing these changes, when you start getting some momentum, when you start getting some wins on the board, things start doubling, things start tripling. I started doing this YouTube channel with like the goal of being like one video a day, just one video a day. Because I'm hearing that you need to hit like 60 or 70 videos in order to get recognized and for like you to actually start reaching people. You have to have a significant amount of content. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm powering through it. At first it was like one video and I'm like, how do I do this? And how do I do that? And what do I do on the lighting? And what format? Like how do I set, what settings on my iPhone do I use so that it comes across? And like the YouTube thumbnails, like are they showing up correctly? Or are they not showing up correctly? Choosing a brand for my thumbnails. Like there was a lot of stuff that I had to go through. And now, like if, you know, when I can, like on a day like, you know, today, like, I can do 1 or 2 videos. You got to break things down into actionable steps that you will actually take to get you where you want to go. And once you start putting one foot in front of the other, if you do one thing, and it can be really stupid, okay? The gym's not my thing, Marie. Clean up your room. Do the dishes. Do something in your life that you know you should do, but I don't have the time. I don't care. Start caring. Do the one thing, and then watch how it compounds, because I'm all about compound interest, whether it's in our personal lives or whether it's in business. I'll take that compound interest all day long. It'll start compounding where now you're not just doing one thing, now you're doing 2 things, 3 things, 4 things. Wow, you're up to 15% more per day than you were before. You have no idea just how proficient you can be when you start putting one foot in front of the other. You get the right patterns, you get the right habits, and just how effective and productive you can be. It is possible. Believe it. Own it. Do one thing. one thing more today, every day, for the rest of this year, or for even the whole next year, if you do one thing more a day, 365 days out of the year, you will be 365% better than you were when you started. And I don't know about you, but I love those odds. So go out there and elevate your life by doing 1% better starting today.